Hi everybody, I'm back to read chapter 12 with you of The Skin I'm In by Sharon Flake. Remembering that these few chapters we're questioning how Malika is changing in response to her conflict. If you think back to chapter 11, one really big thing I saw is that for the first time, Malika refused to give Char exactly what she wanted. She did do some of what Char asked, but not all of it, and that might be a little bit of a change for her. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to pause this, go over to Google Classroom, and check out your assignment so that you know what's required of you at the end of this video. Thanks for watching my videos, but please do understand you are still required to complete the assignments. This week I'm asking you to do a double entry journal. The question I'm asking you to answer is, how is Malika changing in response to her conflict? So you'll answer that on the right-hand side of your journal, and on the left-hand side, you'll be required to provide a quotation, some textual evidence to back up your answer, just like always. Remember, a quote is copying a direct sentence or sentences from the text, so you can follow along while I read on Google Classroom, and then make sure you jot down a sentence that proves how you think Malika is changing, and then you'll explain it on the right-hand side of the journal in complete sentences. After you're done with that, I'm asking you to be a little bit creative and critically thinking with me. I want you to imagine Malika does not go to McClinton Middle School, but instead goes to Infinity Middle School, and reimagine her conflict from that point of view. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it maybe the same conflict, but her responses are different or the people are different? Explain that to me. Let me know how you feel. And that's all for this few chapters. So let's get going with chapter 12. Chapter 12. The next day, I'm waiting in the bathroom. Seems like forever. No Char. She's punishing me for getting out my place yesterday, I guess. When Char says come, you come. When she says do this for me, you do it. Or else bad stuff happens. I didn't give Char her social studies homework yesterday, so no clothes for me today. Now I got to go to class in Mama's things, or wear the clothes Char gave me yesterday. I got them here in my backpack. They're folded small as a bag of bread. They're wrinkled worse than Caleb's grandmama's face, though. I don't have much choice. So I keep on my own clothes. I stretch my arms toward the mirror. Not bad. Sleeves is even. Buttons sewed on straight. The seam down the shirt sleeve is crooked is all. Could be worse. I'm thinking maybe I'll skip class. Miss Saunders gave me this here book the other day. Life of a Slave Girl, it's called. She said maybe it would help me with my writing. I've already read it twice. I stayed up all night reading it 2 days ago. I read it with a flashlight under the covers so Mama wouldn't holler. The book made me cry. It made me think about Akeelma and what was waiting for her once the boat docked. While I'm still deciding if I'm going to skip class, I tell myself that I'm only going to read Life of a Slave Girl for 5 minutes. The next thing I know, the late bell is ringing. I'm shoving that book in my book bag and running down the hall. Walk, Miss Madison, a teacher says to me, and pick up that paper you just dropped. Good things nobody sees what's on my paper. It's another one of those Akeelma letters. Remember, Akeelma is a fictional character she made up for a writing assignment that Miss Saunders gave her. Akeelma is a slave girl on a boat in the 15th century on her way to America. Dear Diary, this is Malika's writing. When you are hungry, really hungry, even mush crawling with maggots tastes good. So I can't help licking my fingers when that girl put the last fingerful of my food in her mouth. A thief, that one is. Yesterday I grabbed her hands and tried to take back what was mine. It fell to the floor, and someone else scooped it up. She is a lion who cares for no one but herself. Akeelma. I'm almost to Miss Saunders' room when John McIntyre starts up with me again. New clothes, huh? He says, trying to be smart. I stop walking and turn to him and ask real smart like, why you always picking on me? I ain't sure what's come over me. I guess thinking about Akeelma makes me wonder why people treat others like they're nothing. Chill, Malika, John says, strutting down the hall alongside me. He gets quiet and I hear his big sneakers every time they hit the floor. Then I say something that surprises us both. Why me? He knows what I'm asking. He just keeps on stepping. Why do you hate me? I ask, looking right at John. His cheek twitches. You bugging, girl, he says. I look at him like he's crazy. John's been hating me all my life, it seems. Now he's standing here denying it. I don't think nothing about you, he says, jerking up his pants. Seems like nobody's in the halls but me and John. Only there's plenty of kids around, pushing and shoving one another out of the way. The teachers are trying their best to move us all us kids along, but it ain't working so good. That song you sing about me ain't right, John, I say. It just ain't right. So what? You ain't all that, you know. Oh, what? I want to ask. But John don't give me a chance. He says I got what I deserved on the bus that day. He says since the first time he met me, I acted like I was better than him. I'm looking at John like I ain't never seen him before. Better than him? When I do that? He says something stupid crazy. Says it was back in 2nd grade when I first moved to the Heights. I walked into class that first day with my new pink polka-dotted dress on and black patent leather shoes. The teacher told me to sit in the desk next to his. I said I didn't want to. I wanted to sit in the one up front next to Caleb. That half-white punk, John says, knowing full well Caleb ain't mixed. Now my mouth's hanging open. I didn't even know Caleb back then, I say. I wanted to sit up front because I couldn't see the board, I explain. Looking at John, I tell him, you hated me all these years for something I didn't even do. No matter, he says. You've given me plenty of reasons not to like you since then. Thinking you super smart, acting like you too good for me. I tell John how things really is. I'm failing all my classes. Char's on my case all the time. I gotta borrow clothes to look like somebody. Good, John says. You always thought you was better than me. Now look at you. You just as bad off as the rest of us. Worse, maybe. Caleb don't want no part of you now, I bet. Now John's bobbing his head up and down, laughing like this whole thing is funny. John looks at me like I'm dirt or something. I swallow hard. I think about what Daddy once said about not seeing yourself with other people's eyes. I keep on stepping. When I open the door to Miss Saunders' room, John's right behind me. For once, Miss Saunders not getting on my case about being late. Then it hits me. John McIntyre is jealous of me. But why? I sat there for about 5 minutes trying to figure this thing out with John before I noticed Miss Saunders ain't here. It's seeing Worm with his narrow butt parked on Daphne's desk that makes me know something's not right. When I look up front, nobody's there, but 2 kids drawing on the board. I guess Miss Saunders is sick. All right, substitute, I say. No work today. Before I can even smile good about it, Miss Saunders comes flying into the room. Sorry I'm late, she says, all out of breath. I'm sorry you're here, I whisper. All right. So the main part of the novel is the rising action, and the purpose of the rising action is to watch how the conflict is developing and changing, and even how Malika, our main character herself, is developing and changing. We know that the conflict is that people tease her, and as we've continued to read, we've seen it's a little more complex than just that. It's the fact that she has such low self-esteem because of it. And I've asked you guys to consider, how is Malika changing in response to this conflict? And in chapter 12, I see that one of the ways she's changing is she's starting to channel her emotions into her writing. And what I mean by that is, as she continues to write these diary entries as Akeelma, she says that it's changing the way that she's thinking. She's putting her thoughts and feelings into that diary of that fictional character. And now she said it's opening her eyes and making her question this idea of, why do we treat people badly? The other thing is that even when people are teasing Malika, she's more confident now. We saw that in chapter 11 as she stands up to Char, and we see it here in her questioning with John. One more thing I want to note, I'm not asking you in this particular chapter about it, but I've asked you before to watch how other characters affect her. And I just want to highlight Miss Saunders here. We know that Malika doesn't like Miss Saunders. She said so several times, and I asked you about that specifically last chapters. And she says it again here. She's glad that Miss Saunders isn't there at first. She's sad when she shows up. But I do want you to consider she's continuing this writing assignment even though it's no longer required. Miss Saunders gave her a book that she said she's already read twice and she's reading again a third time. And both that book and that writing assignment are contributing to Malika feeling more confident. So I just want you to continue to watch Miss Saunders as we go on, and her relationship with Malika, how that's growing and changing the conflict and Malika. So I hope that you're enjoying the book. I'm excited to keep going. Be on the lookout for chapters 13, 14, and 15 coming up this Wednesday. And I'm happy to read all of your insights, so don't forget to submit them on Google Classroom. Have a nice day.